it is your buddy, Peace and Harmony with you here today. Much love going out to all the beautiful, empowered harmonizers. We are zooming in and focusing in a little bit more in depth on a great viewer question, and that is to understand some of the more experiential red flags of a relationship with a narcissist or a psychopath. And sort of continuing on this discussion, I would say there's also the creation, not only that others do feel blacked out or inhibited by the relationship, meaning they feel hindered, held back, that they are oftentimes then interpret this then as a sacrifice, and then in the name of love, they want to give others the floor, the show, the benefit of the doubt. They want to be supportive, loving, encouraging of others. They, are oftentimes people with a big heart are reinforced by being able to assist others in a time of need or crisis. And, they feel that that is the way to be, to behave, to live. But yet this quality can be an area of contention or tension where someone can get used to being taken advantage of and essentially not only shut down, but I would say is the experience of them of becoming hypersensitive or overly sensitive to people and their needs in relationships. So they become focused on an external source. So they lose the focus from their internal environment. They don't check in with themselves, or it's very uncomfortable. So they will just sort of operate in a stress or an anxiety, a chronic state of sort of unhappiness or insecurity or uncertainty, which, can then loom for the future, which creates a sort of looming that something is going to happen. Something catastrophic could happen. They could lose this, they could lose that, they could, they feel fearful on a very continuing and ongoing basis. In fact, this becomes a continuity to sort of tie together their life and their life experiences. Will be oftentimes based on this. The situation and problem, though, not only is that, but I would say because they have then become wounded in this process. Wounded meaning hurt, scarred, maimed, a sock in the gut, been through some emotional upheavals, or feel that they have, some things to be angry or resentful about, or they feel empty-handed, promises weren't kept, or they were violated outright through cheating, through lying, through stealing, through, hacking, all sorts of different ways that they can violate another. It becomes tolerated because they don't feel strong enough to stand up to the abuse. They not only do people not feel strong enough, they don't know how. They don't have a resource within. They don't have the skills within. They don't have a relationship that they can go to. They don't have someone to be a soundboard to help them figure this out. Someone to lean on, discuss things with, bounce ideas around with, to sort of get out of the funk in this repetitious cycle, this vicious cycle. So I would say then there becomes a woundedness that can also be a red flag of the relationship, that is a hallmark trait, and that this wound creates like a pecking order, like you've heard with animals, where that one animal who has a little weak spot, ends up getting pecked. That little, spot of blood ends up getting hurt more and more, and then that is the weak one that they will then peck out and then allow the other ones to get the food first. It becomes like a pecking order. I don't know if that's where it was started, but there becomes a real creation of a pecking order. And that others, then feel, that they are very diminutive. Sorry, I just feel these words are just coming to me. Diminutive meaning extremely or unusually small. So they have to diminish themselves, and they get used to this sort of diminutive type of relationship or identity for themselves. Diminutive meaning, they can make it themselves, they feel an ugly duckling. You might see, literal eating disorders to make themselves small, to be invisible, to be weak, to not have jobs, they might be then underemployed. And then, of course, diminutive or smaller in not only in stature, but in how they hold themselves. So, making themselves small, sort of curling up in the infantile position, making themselves literally take up less space, less emotional space, less physical space. They are then being regressive, becoming more immature, infantilizing type behavior. And, then people do not grow or mature. And, playfulness can really help you get beyond this. A playful side can really help you get beyond this. But I would say the problem then is there's also, the meek will inherit the earth. So oftentimes there's maybe societal reinforcement to keep people down. But this is a very real and important state to emerge from, to evolve from, and to grow from, and to move beyond from. In other words, without guilt, without fear, without pessimism, to be able to say, I am, and to not be overly made, to recognize, I would say, the oversensitivity that then is created or manufactured as a result, as a product, almost as if a byproduct, like a widget from the relationship, can be oftentimes instilling a hypersensitivity to others, always wanting to sort of have that external locus of control, which is then becomes hypervigilance, which then can become paranoia, suspicion, and really people then talk themselves out of engaging with life. They then develop a negative self-talk, which then just continues to play this on automatic emotional muzak, where they're just always like having this sort of muzak, emotional elevator experience where they're just sort of going down or going up or sideways. They lose control of the direction. And not that you always have to be, redirecting your life, but when I would say part of the red flags of acknowledging and healing through a narcissist relationship is to understand oftentimes the development in the supply to become hypersensitive, meaning very sensitive to the needs or feelings of others, oftentimes to a fault. So, in other words, always putting others first, and believing in their heart that others are better than them and that deserve more and that they deserve to be focused on, and that if they can just, be, I would call it the Mother Teresa syndrome, just be completely like accept a vow of poverty and altruistic, putting others first for humanity, for higher causes, I'd say oftentimes it becomes very noble, but oftentimes then it becomes very destructive and can create a martyr, I would say, in others, martyrdom, where, they then, might become hyper, sensitive and engage a lot in that. And it is hindering or be problematic for them in future relationships. And so sometimes becoming a little tough, becoming a little stronger, being able to identify abuse and saying, not today, being able to take, so a martyr is someone who is killed because of their beliefs. In other words, you'll allow just sort of yourself to be taken out of the relationship, almost like an emotional, big word. I don't want to say suicide, but a sacrifice of their life needs for another becomes oftentimes a fuel, which becomes a very depleting or exhausting fuel. And it makes them feel empty-handed, because the narcissist oftentimes will not stay, no matter how good you are at taking care of them. But oftentimes the red flag then created is this hypersensitivity and a tendency towards codependency, martyrdom, self-sacrifice, self-annihilation, self-denial, all these sort of self-negating mindsets, where then people then are like the aesthetic, like they don't need any food, water, interaction, they become blissed out on the endorphins of sacrifice, like they just, so it can really wreak havoc with your mind, your heart and your spirit and your psychology. So you have to come back and get back online. It's like, you got to come back. It's okay. You can exist in your body. It is not a place of torture and anger and unfulfillment. So you have to recognize, that you have opportunity to heal through this. And the opportunity is to understand that sometimes being oversensitive, you need to be able to dial it down and adjust. And, no, and you can do that once if someone says, you're horrible, but you know that you're not horrible, the words will not hurt you because you know the contrary. So in other words, when the narcissist will deflect, make fun of, the jokes that are meant to sort of keep you down, you'll be able to stand up or you won't be affected. Why do you talk such smut? Or you'll have, you talk a lot of this, and you'll give that quality back to them. That is their issue. That is their MO. That's how they are. It doesn't mean you have to take it, accept it, or, be the same, be a counterforce to that force, and then engage in the same sardonic, sense of humor, and then become self-deprecating and all the other things. Oftentimes the real people end up becoming hypersensitive. So being able to tone it down once you are not all the negative that they make you out to be. You have to know. And you have to know that you 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 know that it is. And so it is. Namaste. And so it is. And allow it to be, grow, believe, and grow in you, that awareness. Allowing that awareness to grow will help you significantly in your healing. And to realize, because the hypersensitivity oftentimes makes people very emotional, they cry easily, they feel that nobody listens to them, no one respects them, and that they're losing the game, they're losing the battle, and they feel that it is always a game and a competition. I mean, these are red flags and indicators of a narcissist, malignant, or unhealthy relationship. And it's okay to put the kibosh, the stop, and to say, I am not playing. I'm not putting on the t-shirt. I'm not putting on my game jersey, codependent number 6. I ain't putting it on today. Sorry, but you're going to have to play without me on the team. This is your body, peace, and harmony with you here today. I hope that these videos do help. Please share, please subscribe, and please donate, for goodness sake, for more great tools, videos, discussion, and support. Peace out, peace be with you, and have a beautiful day. You got this. Much love, peace, and harmony.